Welcome back, horror fans, cinephiles, and Giallo enthusiasts. This is Tanner Leeser, your host for all things Giallo, here on The King and Giallo, and it's time for another unscripted talking head movie review. This is I Am the Labyrinth, 1972, directed by Mario Caiano. This movie stars Rosemary Dexter, Adolfo Celi, Alida Valli, as well as featuring Horst Frank, Sybil, Franco, Ressel, and others. So I covered this one on the Forgotten Giallo Films, episode 23, 1972, part 2. This was the third of the 3 films I covered. Originally, that video was going to be 6 movies, but it was getting kind of long, and I figured, you know what, I'll just do 3, do these unscripted reviews, and then do the final 3 for that with 3 more unscripted reviews. Lucky you. Anyways, so I'll do my usual. I'll kind of give you my thoughts on the movie. I will give you the rundown of the plot, but this one I'm actually not going to go too deep on. But I will say this. So the 3 movies that I watched recently, The Two Faces of Fear, Amok, and this, I Am the Labyrinth, I watched several times. And that was mostly because I felt like I had not given a proper viewing. And then when I actually went to record these reviews, it had been a few days since I'd last watched them. And I felt like, I forget like what happened. I was just watching way too many movies in the last several days that I couldn't recall. And I decided, okay, I need to rewatch these and cut the reviews like the same day. And glad I did that though, because The Two Faces of Fear I ended up liking even more. I don't like the movie a whole lot, but I definitely liked it more and more every time I watched it. Amok I also liked even more the more I watched it, and I would like to own that movie. I Am the Labyrinth is the only one that I enjoyed, I liked more, and then when I watched it most recently, I just finished watching it like less than 10 minutes ago, I kind of liked it less. And I'm trying to think why that is. Now, the movie is a little similar to me. Some other people have said this, so I feel like, okay, good, it's not just me. But the movie is a little similar to Footprints on the Moon by Luigi Bazzani. Obviously, they're very different, but they're similar in terms of a young woman, in order to figure out what is going on, goes to this weird, small seaside town that she somehow has found out about. And the answers to the questions she seeks are here. And when she gets there, this is all, it's kind of dreamlike in terms of her psychology, what's going on. And some people recognize her. At least in Footprints on the Moon, I think if I recall, it's more people recognize her. In this one, it's like a gas station attendant is like, oh, you're back. She's like, I've never been here before. What are you talking about? And then along the way, they both meet some odd locals who can shed a little bit of light on what is going on. It's still very different. I will read you the plot breakdown as it is in Wikipedia. So it says, Julie, Rosemary Dexter, is disturbed by the disappearance of her psychiatrist boyfriend Luca, Horst Frank, following a bizarre dream where she witnessed him murdered. She travels to a seaside village where he might be and encounters Frank, Adolfo Celi, who tells her Luca has indeed been there. Julie's investigation leads her to the house of Gerda, Alida Valli, where the mystery deepens among the odd characters residing at the Artists' Enclave. I don't think we actually know that Luca is her psychiatrist until the end. Maybe I'm wrong there, but I feel like that information actually doesn't come out right away. But so the movie opens with, I will give a quick rundown of the plot, but in my own words, but I won't go too deep this time. Not with this movie. The movie does open with a dream that's kind of like a chase scene. So we're following Horst Frank. We don't know who he is at this moment, but he's being chased by someone. And he's running through this it's like a dilapidated, abandoned building, very brutalist type of architecture. And he's like looking back and he's running, and all of a sudden, it'd be like a medium shot on him, and then you just see like someone like stab him in the back, and he keeps running, and eventually the dream ends, and we meet Julie, and she goes to his work. It's like a clinic, a psychiatrist clinic, and they're asking where he is. He hasn't been here in a while, and she says, I don't know. And all of a sudden, a patient comes through and says he's in Maracuti. And all of a sudden, the guards come in and they kind of grab him, and he's like, Maracuti! Maracuti! And Julie asks, what's Maracuti? Oh, he's just saying things. He's just making words up. And then Julie goes home, and there's like a hitman there. There's some like dude dressed up who's like, all right, where is he? It's very like old school, like 60s movie. Where is he? And she's like, I don't know. You better tell me. And he kind of roughs her up, bah, 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 bah. He slaps her way more times than he needs to. And he tells her, if you tell the police, I'm going to kill you. And he leaves. The whole place has been ransacked. I will say this right now. There is a lot of stuff that happens in this movie. Like, the movie is really cool and very interesting in terms of, that's creative. And then there's some twists and turns. But sometimes a lot of things happen because the script needs them to. The plot needs this to happen. So, for example, this part, she's looking around at the devastation. And she opens a random little book, like a journal, and starts flipping through the pages. And she goes right to a page that says Maracudi, like just written, just scribed across it. And next, she's driving there. And we get a little montage of her driving there. She is at a corner store. She thinks she sees Luca, and it's just some random guy. She goes up to, she's outside the town. She's at a gas station. The gas station attendant recognizes her. She's like, no, I've never been here. She pulls into town, and she has a picture of Frank, and she has a picture of Luca, and she starts going around asking. And we see this guy played by Adolfo Celi, who famously is a Bond villain in Thunderball, and he's immediately kind of taking an interest to her. And then there's this other guy. I'm trying to remember what his name is. Antonio? I think his name is Antonio, but he's got like a lazy eye, or he's kind of always a little cross-eyed. And she asks him, he looks at the picture, and he's like, nope, don't know, never seen him. And then he immediately goes to a phone and starts calling up someone and starts talking to them. And she's at the bar, has a Fernet Branca. She gets off the phone, she goes to leave, and the guy Antonio, again, I think it's Antonio, he's like, I think I might know someone who might be able to help you. Follow me. And he leads her to this dilapidated building, and he's like, go inside. And he walks away. She's like, well, who am I talking to? He's like, just go inside, like first floor. She goes inside. This is a very much an abandoned, dilapidated building. Things are falling down. All of a sudden, she tells someone else is in there, and they're trying to drop stuff on her, trying to kill her. She runs out from the building, runs into the arms of Adolfo Celi's character, Frank. And he's like, what's going on? What happened? Oh, someone was trying to attack me. Did you see who it was? No, I don't know. It might have been the man who brought me here. And he brings her to this orphanage, I think, that he lives at, or he brings her to this place, and she's allowed to stay there for the night. And while she's there, she meets the young, like the son, I think he's special needs, of the woman who runs the place, and the kid's name is Saro, and he's like a teenager, or he's like an adolescent, like young 20s, but he doesn't look like a strapping man, but he's obviously no kid either. And so we then cut to like Julie asleep, waking up. She sleeps full nude with pepperonis on her chest, and she wakes up, and Saro is just like at the window above looking down on her, and she's just like covers herself up. But it's so odd in terms of just like, that was an encounter that happened, and then next day, it's almost like nothing happened. We then get this little bit of exposition, which the first couple times I watched this, I assumed was just kind of throwaway, and then I realized, oh, whoa, no, this is important. Saro, the boy, there's all these paintings up on the wall that he did, and the mom is talking about them, and he's really gifted, and if you want to buy them, we sell them. Just a little important bit of information that the kid is somewhat of an artist. And she sees Frank again, and he tells her to go to Gerda's villa. She's got this private property, and she entertains artist types, bohemians, real eccentrics. She might know something. They might know something. You should go there. It's possible that Luca was there. So I want to stop real quick and just talk about Adolfo Celi and his character. I haven't seen him in a lot of stuff. I doubt I've seen Thunderball. I can't recall the classic Bond movies I've seen. But what Adolfo Celi has going for him is he does look like a really nice man. He looks like a really nice, almost like one of your parents' friends type of guy. Like, oh, he's really nice. He's really charming, really funny. Oh, I like that guy. But he also seems to always play like he seems to be typecast as these conniving types that you don't really know where their alliances are. And from the moment he's on screen, he's just kind of like, he gives off these untrustworthy vibes. And he's always telling Julie, like, you can trust me. And he's always trying to get in close, and she's like, oh, okay. So Julie drives out to this villa. She doesn't actually drive there. She drives along. This is one of those classic Giallo things where we're in a very nice scenic location on the beach, and all the roads are on like cliff sides with a nice drop off. And she parks somewhere, gets her clothes off, goes in the water, and these hooligans are watching her, and they take her clothes, and suddenly she's left without any clothes. Well, she runs into Gerda, and Gerda takes her to her place, and we kind of meet the people that are staying there, but they're all like lying down with things covering their eyes and like headphones in or something like that. And they're disconnected right now. Don't try. I'll introduce them later. And we do then meet them, and it's like there's a couple that are, I think, actors, and then Franco Ressel's character is this eccentric composer who's always like doing recordings, and he likes nature sounds and just real sounds, yeah, I almost said diegetic. Not gonna go there. Anyways, he likes getting real sounds for his compositions. And then we have this girl who's played by Sybil Danning, and she's a photographer, I guess. She's just always taking pictures. And then there's this other guy who I'm trying to remember what his name is. I think it's Luis. Yeah. And he's kind of not really, I don't know what's quirky or eccentric about him. He's just a good looking guy who's just there too. I forget what his thing is, but anyway, so we're here, and she kind of meets all the people. Okay, fun. She's staying there the first night. Gerda has already told her, I don't know Luca. I don't know this guy. He wasn't here. And as Julie is looking around the library, she notices a book, and she's going to reach for it. Gerda's like, what are you doing? What? And she's like, oh, the book up there with the old binding. I gave Luca a book just like it, and if it's the same type of book, she's like, it's not. It's from my first husband. Leave it alone. She gets a phone call, and it's for Julie, and she answers it, and there's no one talking, but we see that it's Frank, and he's just smiling like. It's like, dude, what is your deal? And then later in the night, Julie comes out to sneak a peek at the book, and this guy walks in with a gun, and it's the guy from earlier who, with the lazy eye, who took her to the abandoned building and possibly was trying to kill her. Antonio, I think, was his name. And she's like, wait a minute, aren't you the guy who took me to the building earlier? And he's like, no. And he walks out. Okay. Next scene, we are out on the water, and Julie comes down. All these people always usually kind of hang out together. Julie comes down, and she says, I decided I'm going to stay a little bit longer if your offer still stands. And Gerda's like, of course, go ahead and stay. And then Julie is lying out naked, sunbathing, and she sees a little light shining at her, and it's Saro. And when she first arrived in the town, he was up in a window shining a light at her. So it's I don't really want to call it a callback. I guess it's a character trait, whatever. But he tells her, Frank wants to talk to you. He said to meet him at the orphanage, and he just runs off. And well, then she goes to the orphanage to talk with him, and he reveals that he has the picture because she had dropped her bag or something when she was running in the building when she got terrified, and he had mentioned that he would go back and get it. Well, I guess he got it, and he said that, or he found it, I think, earlier, but the photo was gone. Well, now he has the photo. He said Antonio had it. I stole it from him. And he tells her that I think you really should press those people. They know something. Gerda or one of them. They have to know something. You should start questioning them. And then he starts putting the moves on her. He's like, you can trust me. And he goes in and he just starts kissing her. And she like pushes him off, runs out the door. And the woman running the place sees her run out, and she's just like, "You slut, what you?" And then she gets all mad at Frank, and he's like, "It's okay, let me explain. You can trust me." It's just like, this is kind of what I'm getting at when I said when I rewatched this movie, I started to like it a little less than the time I'd watched it before. Maybe I like it the same, but I didn't end up liking it more. And I think it's because some of the characters are really, really flat, and it's like a great cast, but like some of the characters, yeah, they're just like, what? Okay, so Julie returns and she starts talking to the people. She starts getting close with, what's the guy's name? She starts getting close with Louis or Louise. I'll just say Louis. She starts getting close with Louis, and then she talks to Sybil Danny's character, who is Toni, the photographer girl, and she basically tells a story where she likes to take weird photos of people, like natural. Anyway, she was taking photos of him, and suddenly he grabbed her and he started tussling, and he was getting really aggressive. And anyways, she like eventually ran off, and then we get this scene with Frank talking to Gerda, and he shows her something. He shows her a recent painting that Saro did, and it's of the villa, and it depicts a person who looks like Luca being chased and stabbed by someone whose face we can't see because of I think it's because of like the awning or something, but we can't see who it is, but Luca is being killed. And he says, yeah, he's a very bright boy. He's a really good artist. He's can paint, he draw whatever he sees, and that's it. He has a very limited imagination, so he definitely saw this. And then we have a scene with Julie where she is on the phone, and she gets a phone call from Luca. He's not really responding to her, but it's kind of like, like, hello, I can't hear you. What's going on? Da, 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 da. I'll talk to you later or something. And then after that, we have a scene where Julie ends up in the garage, and she's locked in, and a car is running, and she starts getting poisoned by the fumes. And she starts to pass out, and she starts crawling towards the exhaust, rips off part of her dress, and goes to stuff it in, but it like pops out. And lo and behold, Frank happens to be there at the villa, and he hears her struggling. He goes in and he rescues her. He takes care of her, puts her to bed, gives her some water. The next day, Julie comes out, lies in the sun next to everybody, and you could tell that Gerda is kind of like, what's she still doing here? She goes into the garage, finds Antonio dead. So, gee, I wonder who might have killed him. And then Frank reveals to Julie that there's a tape recorder, and the tape recorder is of Luca with some like staticky sounds. And he says, Eugene, the guy played by Franco Ressel, the guy who does all the recordings, he must have recorded this of Luca before he died or went missing, and so this was a setup. And then Eugene comes in, and Frank starts interrogating him, like, what the hell are you doing? Like, what's your involvement? And he says, like, I didn't kill him. Like, Gerda told me to make that recording, and I did, and this is that. And so we know that he's working with Gerda to some extent. We then hear his side of what happened with Luca, and there was one night where they were all kind of drinking, sitting out in the living room, and they were playing this truth game where you ask a question, someone has to tell the truth. And well, Luca is a psychiatrist, so he's really good at asking questions in such a way that you kind of have to answer them. You can't lie. And he was prying information out of Eugene that he was institutionalized for 3 years, and then we don't really know exactly what this other bit is, but it involves Eugene's daughter, and all we know is that everybody was disgusted at whatever he was revealing, so we can kind of guess. But he started attacking Luca before he just kind of like ran off. He has his motives. Well, next, Frank and Julie talk to Thomas and Corinne, the couple, the actors, and Corinne tells them that they all went down to the water, this little cliffside area where there's areas that you can lie out, and then there's a little launch. Thomas went off, and Corinne was there, but Luca said that he was, instead of swimming here, he was going to go swim in the underwater grotto. And so he took off, And Corinne says, well, since I was alone, I got undressed and I did some nude sunbathing. Well, Luca wasn't actually gone. He was waiting and spying on me, and he learned my secret. And this is a really incredible reveal, particularly how the movie does this. How the movie does this for 1972 in Italy. Corinne is trans. Corinne says, I have the body of a man, but I think and feel like a woman. I'm not a transvestite. I'm a woman. I'm an actress. I think that's essentially exactly what she says. And she says him learning this, if he were to reveal this to the world, it would ruin Corinne and Thomas's careers. And so they kind of gave chase to him and he ran off. And then after hearing this, Julie goes around that same area looking, and she finds a shirt with Luca's initials in it, and it's got holes in it, it's covered in blood. And then a speedboat comes up. We don't know who's driving it, but they start shooting a spear gun at Julie, and she runs up the cliff and she runs back to the house and she shows Frank her findings. And he keeps doing the whole, you need to trust me. And Julie runs into Saro again, and he says he will give her some information, but he wants her to kiss him. And she's like, I'm not going to do that. I'm taking you to the police right now, and you're going to tell them what you know. And he's just like, aw, he's really upset. And so they get in the car and they're speeding along, and they kind of crash a little bit. And she stops at this like pull off area, and Saro's like face is in the dashboard. He's got blood coming down his head, and like the window's cracked. And Julie gets out. She's like, I'm gonna help you, don't worry, like, you know, I'll get you to a hospital. She walks out the side of the car, and she just like, I guess the idea was that she was gonna wait for a car to drive by and she was gonna flag it down, but she just starts smoking a cigarette, and she tosses the match, and it lands in a pool of like petrol that's, you know, forming under the car, and the car just goes up in flames. And, you know, poor Saro is locked inside. He's just like, help! And Julie makes like no attempt to help him. She's like, oh my God, she just kind of like freaks out, and she just backs up, and then she walks away from the car. And it's this great shot that is very reminiscent of this painting where she's down on her knees, just like defeated. The car behind her is on fire, and then she lies down. And again, I'll try and pull up the painting. I don't know what it's called, but that's got to be exactly what that is. Is like, you were just like, oh, let's just replicate that on you know, celluloid, on film. And Frank shows up, he picks her up, and I think he puts her in his car, puts her to bed, and then he shows up back at the site later, the burnout, the crash, in his car, and he pushes this car off the cliff so no one will find it. And as the movie then goes on, we see that Julie and Louis have started forming a relationship, and they're sleeping together. And Gerda doesn't like this because she's been sleeping with Louis for reasons. I think she'd be like blackmailing him, or for some reason she'd be manipulating him. And then Frank returns, and I guess he used to own this place, or he used to live here, and he starts blackmailing Gerda. And he tells her what his plan is, and that they're gonna well, fuck, I'm so far, I might as well spoil it. So I guess spoilers. He's basically like, we're gonna get everybody involved, and we're gonna get rid of Julie, and I'll tell you exactly how to do it. And it'll be like a montage of him saying the plan. And I think this is so funny because the movie does this where it'll be like them in the kitchen talking, and then it'll kind of show like, so when you go here and we do this, da, da, da. And then it'll be there, then it'll cut to them somewhere else doing something different as he's still telling it, which is like, when he just said the plan all at once, and you know, the way it's edited is implying that he only told her like 10 seconds of the plan, and then like later that night he's like, and then we'll do this, and then, you know, a day later. Anyways, I won't give too many details, but we have this scene by the water, and they're fishing a body out, and they're all there. All these main players are there, and at the same time they all like turn to Julie, who's just been sleeping with Louis this whole time, and it's almost like she completely forgot about her investigation. And that's one of the other reasons why I said I kind of am like the movie less, that Julie's character is kind of weak. She's kind of a like, she was doing a lot of stuff on her own. You know, she was propelling the plot forward, the investigation, but at a certain point, she's just sleeping with Louis. And it's kind of like the plot needed her to just stagnate so all this other stuff could happen around her. I don't know, but I don't like it. And I also don't like that, like, why are you're looking for your boyfriend, but now you're having sex with someone else. So yeah, I didn't really, and then I also didn't really like that she was kind of useless when it came to helping Saro. He just kind of burned to death. Whatever. It kind of comes back. Not really. Yes, but anyways, so they're all chasing them. Louis is like, you stay away from her. And then, you know, Julie runs, and then Louis runs, and then Gerda shoots him with a spear gun, and he dies. And she's like, oh my God, why did, you know, what have I done? Why did you have to do this? Julie gets in her car, or gets in a car and drives off and passes by Frank. And Frank's kind of like, what the I thought we took care of this. And we get some more blackmail. We find out that this little boat they have, this little yacht, is like just full of drugs. They basically use it to get their drugs, come back, you know, get high. And then we jump, and Julie is tied up and like got duct tape over her mouth, and Frank frees her, and she kind of is running away from him, and he's following after her through the house. And I think she gets like put to bed or whatever. She gets out. And long story short, she opens like a refrigerator and finds Luca's head. And then we get the big reveal. So we're getting more of those narration scenes that I was talking about, like, just a moment ago, where they're both talking, they're both saying what's going on, but it's like being drawn out over several scenes in a weird montage. And so we find out Luca, as well as being Julie's boyfriend, was her psychiatrist, because she is kind of Looney Tunes. She was about to go to an asylum. He was helping her work through it. She has a terrible neurosis, as she says. And then she starts referring to Luca as her father. And I was kind of like, did I miss something? I know it's not her father, but did I miss something? Like, she has daddy issues or something? So as we're learning all this stuff, it's like them talking in that area in front of the refrigerator. And then Julie lying on the couch, just traumatized, talking. And we find out that he was trying to get away from her. And so he went to this place, Maracuti, and she followed him there, but nobody saw her. She arrived at the villa somehow. Nobody saw her, and he was still being kind of distant, a little like, kind of like, stop. And she ran out and stabbed him, just as the picture depicted. And then the movie does the strangest freaking thing, and she starts cutting his head off with the knife, and we get the worst sound effects. And I don't know if these sound effects were added by somebody else later or something, but it sounds like that, because the movie with its own Foley and its own music all kind of fits in a certain range, and these sounds are like exceeding that range. It's just like, it's just the worst sounds. Not worse like, oh it's so squeamish, or it's just it's just like, that sounds fucking terrible. And as this is going on, like he's explaining, like, yes, and then you return to Milan or wherever it was, Milani, and you had no memory of you coming out here and killing him and coming back. And again, this is all a montage of like them talking in different areas. Now all of a sudden it's daytime, and she's sitting on the couch, and he's talking, and all of a sudden they're outside. Then all of a sudden they're in bed, like post-sex, like he's in bed like this, like clearly, shirtless with like the blankets, and she's sitting up in bed with the blankets over her breasts. Like, are you fucking serious? Like, I'm sorry, but that stuff was funny. Okay, so we're getting the whole story, and then there's another part where it's like, yeah, then she's laying in bed again. They're both clearly like topless, and he's kind of leaning over her. It looks like the poster of The Possessed, really, but I guess she's now sleeping with Frank, and he says something like, yes, I'm now your master. I'm now your, the new Luca or whatever. I'm your father. It's fucking weird. So this is what I mean. Again, going back to reiterate that one more time, I started liking the movie less, because the first time I really watched this and saw this, it was like, whoa, that's so crazy. Oh, it's kind of like Footprints. And this time I was like, did the movie really set that up, or did this all just kind of happen out of left field? And I'm sure there were little instances that I might be overlooking, but the only thing we get really is that, oh, you subconsciously knew that you had that performed this murder. That's why you never called the police. That's why you never like went to the authorities, never did anything. Although she had said it was because she has like expired visas or something. But no. It's because she subconsciously knew that she'd committed a murder, and so she didn't want to get involved. And then she intentionally killed Saro by, I guess, staging the actually doing a crash, and then perfectly knowing to, it's not the way it's shot. It's set up that it's an accident. This is what I mean. Like, the movie is telling a story for the audience, and the sequence of events in terms of what truthfully happened doesn't coincide with what we as the audience saw. If she would have like set the fire, it would be like, whoa, why did she do that? Oh, this is why. But no, she accidentally starts a fire, and then she kind of freaks out when she's going to save Saro. But we're being told, no, you actually didn't save him because you actually were trying to murder him. That was the point. It's because he was the only one who was a witness, who knew what happened. I don't like that. And so the ending, as much as I thought it was like, oh, that's really neat the first time, going through this, or the first two times, going through this a third time, I'm just like, I like this movie, but some of that stuff now I just think doesn't fully work. The movie is like, what, an hour 30 minutes or something? Hour 34 minutes? And I don't know. I just feel like some of that stuff could have been explained better, because it really just feels like they just threw it in. They just threw it in, or like, okay, so this will happen, but we'll explain it this way. Like, it just doesn't work. Well, we get the last bit of the movie is then they're sitting outside at the villa. Frank got his villa back from the people. I think he successfully blackmailed them. And he's out there reading a book, and Julie's just like crazy now. She's just like, drawing weird pictures in a book and just humming. And he's like, stop humming that song. Go, I'm thirsty. Go get me a drink. And she goes in, and she's just, she gets like a beer, and then she opens the like kitchen drawer. Oh, gee, I wonder what she's looking at. And then she comes out with one of her arms behind her back, gives him a drink, and then she starts stabbing him through the back of the chair, and it's more bad sound effects, more and it basically ends with like the camera looking up at her. The sun glare is there, so you can't really see anything because it's just this bright like bokeh. And actually, I don't know if that's what you'd call bokeh. I guess it's just a sun glare. Anyways, and she's got the knife up, freeze frame, credits. This works on the level of like, oh, that's a shock. I didn't see that coming. But like I said, this is one of those movies where if you go back and you think about it, or you just go back and rewatch it, you're like, something's not adding up. The movie didn't math correctly. I still like Eye in the Labyrinth. Let me get that straight. I still like Eye in the Labyrinth. It's just the genius was kind of rubbing off on me as I subsequently viewed it. I would still like to own this if this becomes a forgotten Jolly by Vinegar Syndrome. Cool. Anyways, so I said I wouldn't blab and talk about the plot, but I did. Hopefully you don't mind. Anyways, so this is also, like I said, on YouTube by John Shaw, or Gene Shaw, Jeanshawwl, Eye in the Labyrinth, 1972, no parentheses. You should be able to find it. And yeah, that's it. So have you seen Eye in the Labyrinth? What are your thoughts on the movie? Go ahead and check it out if you haven't seen it. Maybe I turned you off. I hope not. But yeah, that's it. So thank you for watching. Thank you for getting this far. If you've got any questions, thoughts, curiosities, or concerns, like always, go ahead and leave those below in the comment section. I will do my best to get back to you. And other than that, I guess I'll see you at the next Forgotten Giallo Films episode. And nothing else. This is Tanner Leeser for The King and Giallo. And if nothing else, I will see you next time. Thank you for watching.